This is our war. And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Sacred Matrix, a divine paradigm of love and universal consciousness, with your host, Janet Kira Lessin and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Together, we transform the world.
And now, here are your hosts, Janet Kira and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio at revolution.radio. And I'm your host, Janet Kira Lessin, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Lessin. And our producer is Thomas Becker, also known as the Mad Painter. And today we have two incredible guests, Dr. Richard Allen Miller and Dan Cooper. And we're going to discuss all kinds of things. We got a wild ride coming for you. We're going to talk about the secret space program, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, and the secret military, breakaway civilizations, black projects, underground and underwater facilities, secret technologies, disclosure, quantum physics, consciousness, and spirituality, inventions, technologies, and planetary solutions, and more, whatever we can fit in the next 2 hours. So before we bring on Dr. Ram Miller and Dan Cooper, I'm going to bring on Dr. Sasha Lessin. Sweetheart, are you there?
Oh, me? Yeah, a couple.
Oh, the other sweetheart, the one I'm married to.
I know you're talking to me. Yeah, sweetheart.
The other sweetheart, Dr. Sasha Lessin. Hi. Sound check. How you doing?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I've listened to a lot, especially to Dan, is I realize that our species is capable of everything. We don't have to feel like we are inferior beings because collectively human minds like Dan's can solve anything that once we get the idea. And we're going to look at how come all that is, I hope, with your work, Richard. And so I'm looking forward to the presentation today.
Oh, you don't know Dr. Miller's work, honey, or we had him on before?
No.
Anyway, we're gonna connect these dots here. You're gonna get who Dr. Richard Allen Miller, because Dan and Ram, Dan and Ram, Richard Allen, are both involved in our secret military programs, and we're going to connect those dots. But let's see, where should we start? Let's, since you're not familiar with Dr. Richard Allen, and I'm not going to read the bio. The bios are up on Aquarian Radio. We're just going to have everybody talk about themselves. Now, Dan, we'll have you talk for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to let Dan. Richard, we're going to start with you. Have you talk for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to switch to Dan. And then we're going to ask some questions to go roundtable here, because we're going to unlock the mysteries of the universe and solve all the problems in 2 hours. Okay. Take it away, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Welcome to our show.
Go
ahead, sweetheart.
Yeah, am I on now? Are we? Yeah. And
no,
in
you
US
are on.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell our listeners about yourself, and I'm gonna cut you off in about 10 minutes. I'm keeping 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So what do you want me to? Yeah, I grew up in Seattle. What would you like to talk about?
I want you to know. I want our listeners to know, why are you an important human being?
Why
in this
am I?
time? And yeah, what makes you a player in the universal consciousness game and quantum physics reality? And how can we take this negative system that's going on right now and shift it around?
How did they do it on Saturday Night Live? They said, "Could it be?" It's choices. The good Reverend Jackson said to you, "Is that fence white or black?" And you said, "Well, it's white." And the correct answer is yes. Because man polarizes everything. He makes assumptions. He cannot see the other side of the fence. And it's all of it. Is the earth flat or round? Correct answer is yes. Physics was, right now, you start in physics with some truth. And what happens next is you say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And that makes the earth round. But if you say space is curved, I can, with advanced mathematics, prove Earth's flat. Now, is it flat or round? And the correct answer is yes. It depends on your assumptions, because we're limited, we're not God, and we do not see the other side.
So what did you do? That sounds great. What did you do for the military? What was your involvement? How did you get involved in all this stuff? You were a Navy SEAL. You're old person like me and Sasha.
Old man DuPont was at my high school graduation. Old man DuPont was at my graduation ceremonies in high school, and then used my technology 3 years later on the Mariner 4. And so then when I was graduated from Washington State University, he was there also, took me to Wilmington. And the rest went downhill from there. It's an open book. I started with putting the SEAL team program together. I did so good. I worked with Dr. Carl Schleicher and did all the paranormal studies. Nobody else could do it. Remember. And basically, back then, I was studying magic because I had to armor up with all the lodges that were coming. I had, when I was teaching at Harvard, Skull and Bones was over me like Alabama ticks. I was teaching metaphysics at graduate level. You don't think they assaulted me? and then, oh man, Bohemian Grove, it goes crazy. And I'm an independent player. I do my own thing, sovereign. Mm-hmm. So I had to armor up. It's like when my parents were atheists. I believed in God. My parents were atheists. They sent me to Missouri Synod Catechism to armor me for high school. So I had got insight right out of the gate about trolls, and I'm extremely knowledgeable. I spent 6 years with Gershom Scholem, just learning how to read in Hebrew, do old translations. I'm a Hermetic Kabbalist. Joan, Church of All Worlds, Robert Heinlein in 1969, Neil Pagan, and Ness. That was Tim in Morning Glory, and he called her Moaning Glory. She made a lot of noise. And I then moved to witchcraft, Karl Wachowski at the Welland. I was just talking about Isaac Bonwitz. Isaac, unluckily, started the Druid things after he died recently. He's the only one I know that has a degree in magic from Berkeley. And then I met Phyllis Sackler, Mildred Burlingame, and Helen Parsons Smith. The Three Witches of Endor. They were Agape Lodge of North Hollywood, 1948. Brady was Phyllis's husband. And she started the College of Thelema and initiated the Jane Wolfe branch, or Genum Argentum, Order of the Silver Star. Plus, I'm a legacy. My great-grandfather was Rudolf Steiner's teacher in Zurich. I'm mentor for Waldorf, Zurich. I have a kid, 12 years old, doing his doctorate at Cornell. What could I possibly mentor a kid like that? Writing a comic book. Kid got it. I love comics, man. I'm a 4-year-old, never became 7. I have a eidetic memory. I do code. And what do you want to know? I'm now 75.
75. Okay,
Yeah.
That's a good start. Your involvement into the secret programs and behind the scenes, and so Dan Cooper. I'm going to bring Dan on for a little bit, and then we'll go round table with some discussion and questions for each other. And we're going to connect these dots. So Dan, hi, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your project, what you're planning on doing We're looking at saving humanity and saving this world. I know we could save the world, but we might have to get rid of humanity. But we're looking for the one where we save humanity, save the world, save all the species on the planet, and come up with some good solutions that make life more interesting and fun. Okay, go ahead, Dan. Tell us about yourself.
Currently I'm an inventor, and I work on free energy generators, motors, and engines. I work on developing those projects that incorporate those devices.
Right. And tell us about...
Go ahead.
Well, I'll let you talk about 10 minutes, but also include how you got involved in the secret space program, secret military.
Oh, that's a separate issue. Well, currently I'm developing these things as a scientist and a physicist, engineer. But I had been involved in the secret space program prior to when I was 17 and a half. So from the time of the trainings beginning from the age of 2 to 17 and a half, I was trained to be a super soldier, and then I was shipped out, deployed. And in my 20 and back, I was deployed straight out and up, which means you get deployed somewhere on this timeline, and then you do 20 years, and then they bring you back to your clone that they created when you were 17 and a half. And so I got dropped back off on my clone. This is my clone at 17 and a half, and I got dropped back off on this timeline when I was 17 and a half, 18 years old. And then I continued on this timeline in a regular lifestyle, not the super soldier, the 20 years I spent in the secret space program. I spent as a super soldier, engaged in combat for the with Darkfleet, mostly with Darkfleet. Go ahead.
Okay, you're done. Okay, Sasha, Dr. Lessin. Feedback, questions. How do we start this?
No, I'm in awe. Let it roll.
Oh God! Ask an intelligent question.
How did they do it on Saturday Night Live? It's alive! It's alive!
Yeah.
I love comedy.
I want to pull you down into another realm, okay? Because I want to not joke about this for just a little bit, because this is a very serious time in existence, and we really need to come up with some answers. I know you're both physicists, and I know Dan's applying these things, and you have done a lot of these problem solving in the past, and you have dozens of books that you've written on because you're what's called a polymath, and so that's a certain level of genius where you're brilliant in many, many, many areas. And Dan is somewhat that way as well. Dr. Lessin's a savant genius. He's in various other ways. Me, I just kind of keep track with all you guys. I'm trying to keep up because, I have high IQ, but nothing like what you guys. You guys are all on a quantum level and taking off and spinning out in space. So I'm here to pull us all back down and how we can synergize and co-create and really do some serious brainstorming and problem solving by looking at the past and looking at what's going on now. Go ahead, Sasha. That's what I want you to do.
Janet, you're suffering from a program that makes you think you're less because you're a woman, and I want you to
Well, it's true. It's true. Yeah. When we go to school, they gear us towards learning English and away from sciences, and it's been proven over and over. So. Anyway, but I like science fiction, so that was my saving grace. And I grew up with Heinlein, Richard. I grew up with Heinlein and reading Strange in a Strange Land and Asimov and John and Roddenberry. And so this opened me up to this human potential. And apparently those were our earliest whistleblowers. They weren't allowed to tell us the truth of what was really going on. But this secret space program, secret military, has been going on for
Well, hey, I've got a comment. Yeah, I've got a comment.
Go
here.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
First, I love Sasha's intro regarding the fact that it starts with imagination, and then we go do it. And so, is the Earth going to be saved? Well, I have already saved myself. So I am you, and you are me, and I am the world. That means time's not real. And once I've got it, it's in the database. And that's that. Akasha, with her side, that was a really cool movie where she had Akasha, and it's a vampire. Love that one. But the thing is, you have choices. Your glass is half full, half empty. It was Joseph Campbell that said that when you see the kingdom of the Father on earth, the apocalypse has already occurred. It's perpetual. It's perpetual in its potential. He was brilliant. It's archetype. And what we have today, so-called end of days. You can see the lava strikes up in the northern territories above Canada. The place that Popo went off. Kilauea. You watch what's happening. It's happening right now. It was in your lifetime. That's probably, I don't know, why you chose to be here now. Oh, that was Ram Dass, sorry. Because you're here to witness. There's sci-fi movies called Epoch by Robert Baer, B-E-A-R, has written Epoch, and I forget the other title. I'm losing my mind. I'm getting old. But basically, it's the end of days. Aliens show up, and they pick 144,000. Take up in space to witness the end of the Earth for repopulation into the universe. It's a metaphor. Always in metaphor. And when you see this happening around you, you have choices. Right now, what we have is an opportunity. And that's Navy SEAL, the way I trained them. And super soldiers, what I did is I showed the SEAL how to change his perception of time with breath control. And their boxing became paranormal. And so into that's us. We didn't call them super soldiers back then. And why I wasn't involved with aliens, because back when I was doing it, we were more worried about the Russian psychic discoveries. I went and had one tour at Broom Lake. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what it means. Like with Sasha, are aliens real? How could they not be?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, here we are.
How could they not be? And I'm
we got choices. How are we going to do it? Are they good or evil? The correct answer is yes. I mean, that's the way it's life, and you have choices.
Right. Okay, Dan, your turn.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to pass this talking stick to Dan for a little bit.
Yeah.
Unless you have something else you want to say. What else would you like to say?
If I could just comment on that, I really think the heart of it. Whenever there's a dichotomy between within and without, that's your opportunity to span them and center yourself and embrace both those. And so that's what your current. That's why it's always yes and yes in both.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
Right.
I have seen this happening before.
Uh-huh.
There's Ernest Callenbeck, Ecotopia, 1984.
Oh yes.
I'm that old, and trust me when I tell you, seen it come and go, and we're in it again. And there will be geographic changes. How did they put it in the movies? There will be blood, but the first to die will be from dehydration and exhaustion, not zombies or aliens or da-da-da-da-da. That's how it'll play. And so you can prep yourself. You have opportunity.
Okay. And so you talk about Ecotopia? What was Ecotopia?
Oh, it's a wonderful book. Yeah.
Yeah, before Michael Tobias. Yeah. I lived next door to Ernest Callenbeck, by the way. I grew up in Seattle, and Ernest Callenbeck wrote that book, and I was a little kind of kid, 10 years old. And then I got to know Michael Tobias, Voice of the Planet. That's where William Shatner does like 10 2-hour videos for PBS on an anthropologist going to Tibet to talk to a supercomputer and the white leopard. He's out of Berkeley. You want to read these books because they show or demonstrate options that we have in the way we conduct business. And right now... What were the names of the
2 books that you said to read? Say that again. It was Ecotopia and what else?
Oh, Voice of the Planet.
Voice of the Planet. Okay. And
yeah, look it up. Yeah, there it is. They're there. And Meryl Streep. Yeah, the supercomputer. Okay. And they did. Yeah, it's a beautiful set of movies. What it is how to live differently than we are. And it's Ecotopia. It's the idea of, chop wood, carry water. Going back to basics. Physics doesn't have the answers any more than religion does. The closed system, physics laws changes every day. I don't know anything that's remained the same. Think of it, a theory of everything is a little presumptuous. I studied with Roger Penrose, and there is a geometric universe. My contribution is the dodecahedral. I'm getting into more specifics. And, I have come to see today, I'm too old to do anything about it. And Carlos Castaneda, the 4 enemies of man, was it fear, power, clarity, and old age. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up a video for Ecotopia and put it on this page. Okay, over to Dan. I'm just going to pass the talking stick. We're going to see where this goes. This is an experiment. So what would you like to contribute? Any questions for anybody on the panel tonight? And any comments, feedback, or introduction of new ideas, concepts? Over to you, Dan.
Are we talking to Sasha or Dan?
We're talking to you, Dan.
Oh, what do you want to know? What do you want to know?
I want
That's a good one.
You were talking about the program, or are you talking about the current technologies?
Wherever you want to go. This is a flow of consciousness.
Dan, tell us about the relationship of the soul and the body and the program, and how they deal with clones and your soul.
Oh, cloning, yeah, cloning. Okay, so cloning is the Greys perfected the cloning. They're the ones that taught us how to do this. They're in 52 in my program, and so they were able to extend their lifetime 1,000 lifetimes. Apparently, can't do it anymore in 1,000. And the way they do that is they make a clone of themselves, and then they transfer their soul into the clone body. The problem is that not all of the soul goes with it. That's why it can't happen any more than 1,000 times, because there's a fragment that doesn't go with it. It kind of hovers like a ghost. But if you just do it once, it's not a big issue. There's hardly anything missing in the soul that comes across. So that's what they did in the program. They would send the soul back in time, back to the clone that they had made of me when I was 17 and a half. That's not the same thing as cloning without a soul, like cloning a dog and just making a clone of a dog, but there's no soul that goes with the dog. It didn't come out right when they do that. But the Greys perfected it, and they taught us how to do that, and they did this program. They're the ones that got us going in this program. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at this.
Yeah, I could make a comment. Yeah, I could make a comment now if you'd like. At the moment of death, there is a 5-gram weight loss in the body, consistent and reproducible. What is that? Well, in alchemy, they used to call it the stag and the unicorn in Forrest Gump, soul and spirit within matter. James Hillman has written a book called The Soul's Code, dealing with metaphor. And actually, I studied with James Hillman. I got a doctorate in that field of Jungian psychotherapy with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and some others because it just fascinated me. It wasn't soft. It's a hard science, and in my opinion. And I understand the concept of cavitation, where there's a veil between this side and that side. A drop of water falling in a pool of water pops back up. It's a bubble. It's no longer a drop of water. It's a bubble of collision zone water with a cavitation process inside, which is what Penrose called the geometric universe, torus twister. And the thing that's happening is that drop of water has created a multiverse of another option. It's a duplicate because the universe, as another way of looking at it, reflects itself. I didn't do near-death experiences, but I did read the Bordeaux Sedal, and the Tibetans had it down. They said at the moment of death, you have a choice. You have the circle of light, all your friends waving, or you have the blue light. And the circle of light reminds me of a birth canal. Time is not real. And that 5 grams is enough geometric structure in the memory of water to hold everything. Including, it's 1 million times more efficient in holding data than the gallium arsenide. It's a big chip. 1 million times more. How many lifetimes do you think you can cram in that computer chip? It's leaving your body as a physical analog to what the soul is outside of time. I don't know. I've been there. But I hung out with Ibn Alexander in the jungles and had, and I have a sense of him. And that butterfly thing he's talking about, it wasn't his sister. It was his inner feminine self. He's talking to dialogue. The 2 paths to God on the tree of life, the hermit and the lovers. You do it androgyny, or you do it with a reflected pair in the external world. And it's a metaphor. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't studied secret program. Carol Rosin lives just down the street. And I do know her real well, her and John. And it's interesting. It wasn't my field. What I did was all the weird paranormal stuff, shapeshifters, and, it goes downhill from there. I did some pretty strange things. Antarctica. I've been there, done that. I don't know. No, I don't know.
What's in Antarctica?
Well, let's see. You start in at Tool Island, and you pivot into this cave that then goes underwater, almost a mile. And at the bottom of it is a cave that's over a mile high and has air, weather, a mile high cave. And there's the 19 slips from Nazi base. Down over there, there's a old Viking base, 14th century. And down here, what is that? It's a giant hole going 100 miles straight down into the mantle. We didn't have the technology in the 70s when I was there to be able to deploy that. Apparently they did, because Buzz Aldrin said he went and saw something. My guess is there's Nephilim down there in stasis. When they had evacuated the annals, because one of them woke up. Probably.
When they what?
Huh?
When they evacuated what? You broke up. They evacuated what?
No, I don't know about that. I can speculate. The way Sasha put it, yes. All of it. All of it and more.
So what was the occasion that led you to go to Antarctica? Were you doing that for the military?
No, this one was as a matter of fact, this one was a special study by an anthropologist woman, and the Navy loaned me out because I have background in bioluminescence, and they wanted to know how the light worked. I worked under this woman on that project. I usually was lead by divine right, but she was running this anthropologist thing, and she had a bunch of specialists. Mine was to figure out how the light worked.
Well, I've been in underground facilities, and they do have that bioluminescence.
Yeah, that's what that is. It's a bacteria. Yeah. I figured it out how it is. That's why my doctorate is in bioluminescence. That's why I write about that. Resonant cavity oscillators. I've just been prepped to do some important stuff, and I was blessed. And now I'm 75 and I'm still deployed. I'm a GS-18. Means I'm not in Navy. I'm a GS-18. I'm a Navy intel. And I don't know. So I'm interested to know more about the secret space. Carol talks about it all the time. And I have to tell you, there are some serious German work that came in after. I've seen a Vertol. Boeing right now has a magnetic monopole. They're flying it all over. Nazi little drone over my house. I'm going to shoot it down. Magnetic monopoles are interesting, and they now have them. That means that we did either reverse technology or we figured it out. And there's an excellent book on that subject. If you'd like to read it, it's I got to go over in the library to get it. I won't do that, but it's on magnetic monopoles, and the crafts either have 3, which is simple, balancing on wavelengths, or 4, more fussy in balance and smoother. And if you ever look at... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to, before we get too far down the line, I wanted to pull us back to, because we talked about the nature of the soul, and Dan said that he was transferred, his consciousness was transferred into a clone. And then we're talking a little bit about the process of death, and you get to choose, I forget what the 2 choices are. So what is death? I'm going to pass this around to everybody. What is death? What is life? What happens when we die? Where does the soul go? There's a wonderful show called the OA, and she's doing some kind of dance movement with a group of 5 or 6 people, and then they're able to open a portal and move their souls into another dimension, another parallel timeline. So we're looking at time. You said time's not real, but timelines. Let's go into life, death, timelines, parallel universes. Let's go round table here. Sasha, do you want to begin? Then pass it to Dan, and pass it to Richard.
What's that?
About life, death, parallel universes.
Timelines, that kind of thing. Listen, I can tell you that using hypnosis, I can extract memories. If I especially go down into certain specific places in the brain, like the Wernicke correction, I can extract memories of when you were working on Mars for the U.S. government. How's that work? Archetypally, I don't know. It's interesting. Some of these things I used to study, never got answers. We had a lot of flies, catching flies, man. Mouths open in disbelief.
So has everybody been on Mars? Is that what you're saying, that we've all been on Mars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And when I say yes, who knows what that means, you know? What's the Van Allen belt? And really, never. Let's talk about that if you're curious, because, you know, it's a dark star that's coming in. And my friend over at JPL says that the IR signature's long on it. And my other friend said, yeah, that's because it's got a Dyson sphere around it. And then I had to pop up and say, yeah, that's our future coming in to collect the rent.
Okay, so let's look at that. So why are they collecting the rent? Are we the rent? Are we harvested? Because we've been talking about this with Dan. Apparently, we're going to be harvested. Come to the
harvested. Well, we're
the commodity. We're going to be sold off. What do you mean by the Nibiru Dyson spheres coming in and they're going to collect rent? Explain that a little bit more. What do you mean by that?
You want to do someone else, or do you want me to try? I don't know.
Yeah, you brought that out, and then we'll pass it around.
I know. I just like to throw trip wires out and see how you fall.
Yeah,
Kidding. Just kidding. I don't know, but I can tell you, I did some studies with time, and when I met Crow, something happened to me, and I'm going to be a tool. I don't know what it means, but is it good or bad? Yes. Is that well, we got Independence Day. We've got, all these sci-fis that talk about bad aliens and bad robot. We've got good, bad, and ugly, actually, Clint Eastwood. And it's going to go downhill as man is responsible for the thoughts he chooses to entertain.
Okay.
But we start there. How about controlling and training the mind? Like meditation. And I'm a satsang. I was initiated by Sharon Singh. I've got my merit badge. I'm using. I know I don't know. How's that work? I don't know. I'm try to define God. You can't, because God is that which cannot be known. It's outside the realm of knowledge. You can experience Him, but you can't know Him. Yeah. And that's a Bordeaux Adol also. And so
Well, let's bookmark it right there. We're going to go. We're doing a round table here, so we're going to go around. So, Dan, give me your 2 cents. What are your thoughts on what we just covered?
You want to know what my thoughts are about
what we were just talking about here, about the nature of the Nibiru. What do you know about Nibiru? Is Nibiru out there? Is it incoming? Is it a Dyson sphere?
What do I know about the? I'm sorry. What do I know about the what?
Nibiru, Nibiru, Planet X.
Yeah. That one passed through. Phase. That's a phase planet. Planets that are in oddball orbits, they have the ability to phase out as a defensive mechanism. And this particular planet phased into a different dimension as it passed through our solar system, and then it phased back as it finished through our solar system. And that's not uncommon in the universe. And the proof of the matter is that in the billions of years that the universe has existed, if planets crashed into each other and destroyed each other, there wouldn't be any planets. And that's the proof of that's the theory that proves the theory. That the mere fact that their planets aren't crashing into each other all over the place proves that they phased.
So what happened with Maldek?
So Planet X is a phased planet. It phased out into a different dimension. As it passed through our physical plane, it was in a different dimension. And then when it finished passing through our solar system, then it came back into phase, and you could see it again as it was leaving. Mm-hmm. You saw it as it was coming in, then you didn't see it. And it phased out into a different phase, 6 different dimensions, out of dimension. And then when it was finished passing through, when there was a conflict physically, when that's when it does its defensive thing and phases out. And then phased back in when the conflict was no longer there, meaning when it was outside of our solar system. And there are many planets that phase. It's not unusual. This happens all over the universe.
Mm-hmm. So what happened that we have the asteroid belt? It's supposed to be planet Maldek that broke up.
Yeah, you're not going to cross. Hold on a second. Wait a second. I got noise in the background. Go ahead. What was your question again?
The asteroid belt. Now I've got feedback. The asteroid belt, Maldek, the planet's breaking up. The story of the
well, that one was supposed to have been a war. That planet got destroyed in a war. Okay. That was one of the planets in our solar system that got destroyed in a war. It makes up the Kuiper Belt. All the pieces of it make up the Kuiper Belt.
Right.
And Mars. Mars was also one of the pieces. And some of the moons on Mars.
Do you have a memory of being on Mars? Are you there?
Who?
No, I was never on Mars. I might have passed through, but I didn't spend any time there.
Okay, you don't have any. Okay. Sasha, your turn.
Yeah, so we had been discussing the soul and clones and that, and what I thought would really first and the situation. First of all, as far as the situation and how to handle it when we see people having these catastrophic worries about their current situations, is from the perspective of existentialism. If you're present, fully present, right here, right now, every second, it's perfect, and it couldn't be any other way. And the things that you regard with alarm are really the things that are your challenges to assimilate and understand in a larger context. But I was thinking that it would be a really interesting thing, starting with you, Janet, for each of us to say, if our souls really have created us in these bodies that we're now occupying, in this time and space that we are right now, if we are creations of our own souls, what missions did we give ourselves? What have we learned so far, and what missions are calling to you right now? And what about you, Janet?
Okay, and you might want to turn your sound down just a hair. We're getting feedback. I don't know where it's coming from. There, okay. Well, that's one of the things that I've been looking at is, why am I here? Why was I born? I ask myself these questions, and then things happen in life, and I get these answers because I'm an ET contactee experiencer, and I've been in the underground military bases, and I interviewed thousands of people and and hear all these stories. And somehow, Richard said, we are all one, and I am the walrus, cuckoo, cuckoo. You're me, I'm you, and cuckoo, cuckoo. So what I've learned is that, I'm here to do what I'm doing, which is these radio shows, to bring together different people from different perspectives on these shows so we can talk about the issues and come up with some solutions. Because I'm really fond of the Earth. I like this planet. On some level, this is my art project, my soul level. And I have an attachment to it coming through and joining the Federation of Planets like Roddenberry proposed to us. Roddenberry apparently was a first-generation whistleblower, along with Heinlein and Asimov, and J. Allen Hynek was there, and they were trying to tell us what's really going on. And now we've got people coming forth like Dan, who's been in the secret space program, and he's telling us what went on behind the scenes. And there are these technologies which can turn the planet around and clear up the environment and give us extreme longevity, if not physical immortality. And then we're looking at the nature of the soul, how Dan has experienced soul transference from one avatar to another, and he's now living out a life, and we don't know if that avatar has a lot longer expectancy than the normal ones. What makes a body run out in a certain time? What is a timeline? What factors go into the span of a lifetime? Is it environmental? Is it genetic? And are these things that we can fix and alter to give us? I would like to be in a form longer than subject to these things like cancers and accidents and things, and so that I can figure it out. It's like my game, my chess game. It's like, can I figure this out before my expiration date? Okay, that's enough. Who do you want me to pass it to? Go ahead to the next. You facilitate this one, honey. Who do you want to talk next?
The idea is, you made yourself to be a philosopher or an inventor or a sword fighter, and what's your current goals for the avatar that you're running down here?
Well, yeah. I'll tell you. I remember the first technical paper I wrote as a parapsychologist on time distortion, or I never knew there were corners in time until I was told to stand in one. That's where I started. This isn't real. No, this is not real. This is an illusion. There are Aborigines and advanced tribes that actually believe there's more content to reality in certain dreams, like lucid dreaming and consciousness. I wouldn't have seen it if I had to believe it. Now, we filter, and the difference is you're in both worlds. You're in both worlds now. You're dead and alive. Where you place your awareness of moment is in between the two. And that's like an hourglass. How's that one for an image? And they're doing those studies right now at MIT, Mark LeClaire. Now, I don't know, but I can tell you that whatever I came up with as a theory is probably true and more. All of it. It's not about we know this and now we can do that. Good luck with that one. She's mad as hell and she's not going to take it anymore. God. And I know that there's more going on. War and pantheons and gods conspire. The Bible talks about a multitude. That's not one guy. Yahweh, Vahi, and the veils of Isis. And Bob Dylan said everybody's got to serve somebody. There is a video, old, rare sci-fi movie called Liquid Sky, or Blue Sky, but Blue Sky. Blue Sky,
yeah.
Yeah, and these aliens live up in the eaves shooting galleries because they get off at Green Lakota Zone. Oh, we use that ourselves. How's that sound? Oh, look, I know I don't know. I'm well aware that there's something else going on here. I can feel it. That's hell dying. I don't know what's really going on, but I've got a great imagination. I'm as good as it gets. And I know that I got to be careful. I get paranoid. Paranoia causes it, brings it up. That's how you take psyche into matter. A little sex magic, punctuating it. I can tell you that we are in the end of something. And you have chosen to be aware, Janet, me, whatever, witnesses. Mm-hmm. That's the Bible, witnesses. There it is. And we're going to do it. And what are you going to do with that knowledge? Well, knowledge is illusion. And there is a missing Sephiroth in the middle of the abyss above, Christ, Christ consciousness, God consciousness, Death 13. You're in the Doth, middle of the Sea of Karansan. And by the way, the path that crosses it, humor. And Doth is defined as knowledge through wisdom. It is a temporary place for only a brief moment. And when you leap out into the roaring river, the abyss, it's a stone I discovered under the water. You can't see it. And I can top on that stone and leap over to the other side laughing. And that's how it works. It's all sleight of mind.
It's all part of mind.
Magic with a K. And that has, in fact, been in recent movies. Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis. 3 movies, back to back. ABC on, what is it? Unbreakable, Split, Glass. These 3 characters are in a mental institution because they have superpowers. Guess what? You do. I have watched a woman rip a car door off and fed up emergency saving her daughter. Now, here's the bad news. The adrenaline does not make the bone in her body stronger than steel. How'd she do that? Now, that means that altered states of consciousness might suggest that there are different laws. I can tell you into a slight, when I train sales, you go over here and using hypnosis, your ability in testing 400 times over you using statistical inference. And you take a psychic, really good psychic, named Dixon, fine tuner. And that's a type of awareness. It's not here or there, it's right there. And what I'm trying to do today is map those different areas where I can, that super soldier ripping a car door off. Imagine having the strength of 10. I do that with methamphetamine, but to be able to conjure that up without any drugs, we're talking about something interesting. Altered states of consciousness.
Isn't that what they're looking for, is the metagene, that we somehow have that ability?
Well, that's what, that's what your other guest just said. We have, we're way beyond what we think we are. And we've only just begun because we're not even training ourselves. We're undisciplined, wild little brat children.
So that's what they were doing at Montauk. They were experimenting with.
Montauk was Dr. The actual Montauk was an experiment that happened. What happened? They were trying to do cloaking device, and when something else happened, it shifted and fused reality. So kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know what that means, but I can tell you that when you start doing rituals on a collider like collider hadron, that's nuts. That's nuts. And really, I've seen creepy come out of the other side, and who knows? Dr. Strange, it's a big giant slug called Ouroboros, or I don't know what. I forget the old comics. Dormammu. That's what it was. Yeah, there it is. And I can tell you that whatever you imagine, that's just one side of it.
Wow. Okay. Dan, over to you. So you were actively involved with the secret space program, and you saw a lot of things when you were traveling. You were involved in these different technologies which bend time and space. And so how did we get across the universe? Based on
how do we what?
You went across to another, beyond the solar system, or into the, you were still in the Milky Way, or did you go to another galaxy? And how did you get there? Did you know how you got there?
I don't know how we physically get to the other planets.
Yes.
Okay, well, in the portal system, wormhole system from portal to portal, planets to planets inside of the galaxy that was put up by the ancient builders, you can't go through that with weapons. And if you want to carry weapons or supplies somewhere, you have to use ships. And we have Warp 10, basically it's slightly under Warp 10, 9.8. We have Warp 10 ships, and we've had them for a while. And so that's how we travel out to the different areas. But usually you have areas of operation, like the local cluster, the 52 solar systems, so it's called the local star clusters. The 52 local star systems, that's an area of operations. That about that many solar systems might be an area of operations. You see, when you're traveling in ships that go warp 10, that's not an undoable area of operation. You get my gist? Yeah. So you're doing ships. You're riding around ships. Spaceships. So Star Trek.
And in Star Trek, and the spaceships have the ability to.
They're very fast. Look at warp 10. Warp 10 times the speed of light.
So how far can you get if you're going warp 10? I mean, can you get across? How do we measure that?
God, how do you put it? A warp? How do you describe that?
How do you?
Light years. I think the closest planet, the closest habitable planet, I think, is something like 4 light years away. And so in warp 10, you get there, you would pass it in a second. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. I think the Enterprise, the fiction series, the Enterprise.
Right, what they're showing us, yes.
They were going at warp 6, and they said they passed Neptune in something like 20 seconds or something like that. They actually gave the speed. They related the speed of how fast it took them to get out of their solar system. From Earth out of our solar system. It took them like 20 seconds, going at warp 6.
So did humans invent this technology, or were we given it by a control?
Well, humans are capable of inventing the higher levels of the technology. But humans originally invented warp 1. Everybody does it on their own. Nobody can give you that technology. Humans developed warp 1. Nikola Tesla was the first one. He invented warp 1, and then you're in you're a spacefaring species, and that's when you start trading with other spacefaring species, other species that go warp 1 and get around the galaxy, traveling in spaceships and stargates and stuff like that. So the portal system. So people are getting around. They're the warp. They're the warp societies, and they trade with each other. And the more advanced ones will trade technology for the things that they want or need. And so we traded for the more advanced technologies. Were traded. We didn't develop them on our own. The secret space program personnel didn't develop the more advanced technologies. And a lot of times we acquire technologies and we find them in places, and they get reverse engineered by our scientists. But our scientists don't do original engineering, which is a problem, because you can't transfer traded technology unless it complies with the agreement of the trade. And none of that advanced technology the SSP agreed to trade with us or to bring down to us, meaning the 7 billion people on the surface of this planet. We were actually what was traded. We were the commodity that was traded. We were traded as slaves. But they can't come and collect. But that's not here. So we certainly can't get that technology, and you wouldn't want it anyway. It's like, because you don't want to pay the price. What's the price? You idiot. You're a slave. No, you're not going to pay that price. So you don't want that technology. You don't want to pay that price. See? So what in the collective minds of the secret space program, if you think they're intelligent, more intelligent than you, no, you're wrong. They're not. They think they are, but they're not. In the collective wisdom of the secret space program personnel, the committee of 200, they get together and maybe we should start. Let NASA start from scratch. So
right.
And the same.
It's all invented already, though. Is there anything?
Yeah, but and that was one of the arguments the NASA personnel, some of the top scientists in NASA. We're going over this now, actually.
Hold that thought. We'll be back in 5 minutes. It's our break.
Yeah, okay.
We'll be back at 5.
All right. Hey, are you with me?
Right. Hold on. We're still live.
Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message. Is your data safe? Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
In breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a 5th dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
This is the People's War. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, by all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. First, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Aloha and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio, on revolution.radio. And I'm your host, Janet Lessin, with my co-host, the incredible Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin. And our guest today, our producer is Thomas Becker. Don't forget Thomas, a bad pager. Our guests are Richard Allen Miller and Dan Cooper. And before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go over to that donation button. And we do need your donations, and your donations are very important to keep us on the air. And I'm going to ask Mad Painter where we are in our fundraising, and do we have any specials?
We got $1,259, and we need $2,550, so we're not doing too bad. I mean, we really should be around $1,400. And yes, we have a special until midnight tonight.
Oh my
For
goodness.
$60, you can get the I think it's 16,000 seed packet, and it's an unlimited amount of them at that price without the thumb drive. So that's just the continental U.S.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you. Sasha, Dr. Lessin, are you back with us?
I'm not back yet. I'll be back.
Oh, can't hear you.
He's here.
Oh no, can't hear him.
I'm not back yet.
Oh, you're not back yet.
Yeah, he's probably in the bathroom. Leave him alone.
All right,
Okay.
that's the first time that's happened. Okay, so we'll start with you, Richard Allen Miller, Dr. Miller. So what would you like to discuss? You've got a little round table going here. We're brainstorming. We're out to solve all the problems in the universe. And
Okay, so I have a time travel machine. I actually worked the Navy project and wrote about it. It's Ezekiel's Vision, the throne chariot of God. It's called the Diamond Body, Electromagic, and Yogatronics. It's using sound and light to create and release specific neurotransmitters. You do them in command and constructs with you there. You now have a time machine. It's visual. You can go anywhere you want. And it's physical. The TARDIS is a face-centered cubic hexagonal closed-back structure you envision in your mind's eye. And this is a project that I helped develop with the military. And it works. Well, it's not what you think, because time isn't what you think. And alternate universes, we're just only now even beginning to grasp the concept and to understand going back, forward, and through. The paper I wrote first on was, I wrote Time Distortion, or I never knew there were corners in time until I was told to stand in one. Okay, here we are in Prison Planet. There you are. We've been naughty. And or something trips us out from under each other every 500 years. There's some evidence. Popo and the Clovis had time travel. Space travel. You go to France and the Capes, and there's this little bison. Oh, the bison has a bunch of dots around its eyes. Closer inspection, that's a star map. You go further south down there, Croatia. It's another cave. The star map is in reverse, which means we've been out in space. Romana, whatever. And something has come in, and but if I'm enlightened, and it means man is, and it doesn't matter when you get off the couch because the time isn't real, and you got it. 60 million chances to get it right. It's a metaphor.
So you're saying time isn't real?
Yes, it's not real. No, it's a construct. It's a construct of the way we chose to group information. Isn't it interesting?
Okay.
As a metaphor, that's you have options. It's like, there's no such thing as gravity. The Earth sucks. When you set up some truths and then definitions, that sets up the concepts of what's available and what's not. And time and space reserved for quantum mechanics and taking analog into digital. And holographic systems are a different way of looking at data, resolution of information. You got physical plane, here it is. And then above that is the emotional plane, how you feel about it. It's a different way of looking at things like fractals, where you have resolution of information down into itself or out. That means that everything's simply connected. Boom. And I don't know their model. And what they do is they allow you to do this. They don't allow you to do that. If you're a staunch Christian, 3 aliens walked in the door, would you be able to see them? Belief systems, tools. Belief systems are tools. And, that's why I would say, the metaphor, that a Buddhist can become a Christian. A Christian can't be a Buddhist. As a metaphor.
A Christian can't be a Buddhist, yeah.
But a Buddhist.
And I'm getting feedback. I don't know why.
Well, the broader worldviews. It opened different doors. And
okay.
And so you have choices. If you had been born in Pakistan, you would not be a Christian. So with that said, belief systems, Christian religions are arbitrary. You can go try saving the earth, but you should first start with yourself.
So when people talk about our space program and they're traveling through time and space, maybe Dan, you might want to address this.
Oh, that's probably no question.
Yeah. How do we travel through time and space if time is just an illusion or just a construct? Dan, what do you know about how we're able to do that?
Well, time, I don't think of it as an illusion. Each planet has its own timeline, meaning, you think things decay, seasons, you experience time in the representation of things decaying or changing. And that's how you experience time. So if it's the illusion of these changes or whatever, I don't see it that way. I just see, I see time as, we're getting older, or we're experiencing these changes, and seasons passing. That's how I see time, like everybody else does. But that's a timeline can be each planet can have its own timeline. And we went and we would do 20 years on another planet. Then I would return back to this planet and do 20 years during the same period. But there was no problem with that because the two didn't connect. The two lifetimes didn't connect, even though they were parallel. Even though I'm experiencing 20 years on this timeline in a different clone than I experienced the same 20 years on a different timeline, there's no problem because we're not talking to each other, and so there's no time.
Is it possible to go back and kill your own grandfather?
Oh yeah. You can do time incursions, and then there are people that have to correct the time incursions. There are time agents that basically say don't do that, or if there's someone who made it's pretty rare for people to be able to travel in time to begin with. And it's even more rare for someone to want to go make changes in time, because most people that know about time don't want to go back and make changes. Because if you're going back and making a change that favors you or your family, then the people that you affect, they'll want to go back and make changes that favor their family and friends. And then everybody wants to go back and make changes because they didn't like the changes that you made. And so there's no end to making changes in time. And that's just the beginning of the problem. Everybody wants to do it. And so there's never going to be a steady timeline because everybody's going to keep making changes. And the timeline will always be disrupted. If you allow changes to be made, then everybody's going to want to do it. And so the rules are that the administrators, they don't allow any changes to be made. And it's very rare for it to be made, and they can fix it to a certain extent, but time is very elastic, and it'll change back to where it's supposed to be in over long periods of time. The real issue is to not allow people to make time incursions, to make changes in time. It's used for transportation almost exclusively. That's what time travel is for.
So how does one prevent time incursions?
They monitor. We have a group. We actually have our own monitoring group, the United States of America, with the Secret Space Force. We have our own group, and believe it or not, they're Vatican priests, 100 Vatican priests, and they're stationed 50 years in the future, and they monitor the timeline, and they say, hey, something's not right here, and who caused the change and why. And so we actually have our own monitors, but the agents themselves, the time agents, who are from different groups of advanced species, they monitor the timeline hundreds of thousands of years out to make sure that there's no time incursions, and they'll go back and correct an incursion or prevent an incursion.
Okay. They're monitoring it for all of creation. They're monitoring the timeline for the universe, for our universe.
Right. Yeah. Well, in the real advanced, where starfaring species started moving, the builder race goes back 2 billion years. So really count the advancement of technology to be so advanced that we could travel around the universe was 2 billion years ago. That's what I was telling you before. As I was telling the NASA scientists, is that don't feel upset that we have to reinvent the wheel. Everybody's been doing it for 2 billion years, ever since the builder race first did it. Installed this technology.
And who was the builder race?
The ancient builders, the ancient builder race, the original builders of the stargates, the portals from planet to planet, and also those portals that go from galaxy to galaxy, the portal systems. The portal system.
Do you know who that is?
What is a portal? Yeah, I know what a portal is, or where it is.
The builder race. Who is the builder race?
Oh, they look like us. We were actually we were genetically engineered from the builder race. They look just like us.
Okay. Wow. And so they created these. So it's just like the Stargate series, right? They created these.
Yeah. Except systems. That gates are spherical, and you can't really render that in a movie so you have to make them a ring. You walk through this ring, But it's very much like that. An energy comes out and then it goes back in. But normally it appears in a sphere. The energy goes out, and then when it goes back in, it sucks you through a hole. So it's doesn't quite go like walking through a ring. It isn't like that. But that's what's going on. They're traveling from one planet to the next through these gate systems, portal systems that the ancient builder race built. They're real. The gates are real.
The real gates, yeah.
The gates are real.
I've heard that from other.
Yeah. Except there's one major. You can't go through with weapons. You can't travel through with weapons. You can only travel through with like cotton. You can't even have any plastics or anything like that. So when you go through the gate, you're practically naked. As far as weapon wise, you come out on the other end. You're if it's a hostile gate, oh my God, you're in trouble. So.
Because you're naked.
The gates were mostly.
So the series is.
Well, you're not naked. You have clothes on, but it's cotton. We had cotton.
Yeah.
Pure cotton.
So the series has them going through with weapons, but they can't actually go through with weapons.
No, not for the gate. No, the gates can't go through the weapons. The gates don't allow the weapons. They're actually programmed. They don't allow the weapons to go through. The ancient builder race did that. They programmed the gates so they don't allow any weapons or any machines to go through.
Don't allow weapons.
Only people in their dress, and that's it. And it didn't have simple cloth, not manufactured cloth, not plastics.
Not plastic.
Yeah.
So do we have teleportation?
That's all that gets. That's all that gets through the gates. But we have a lot of you bring a lot of scientists onto through the gate, and then you have a settlement. Not a settlement. What are we calling those? Space stations, research stations, and then they get all their supplies from there, and they construct manufacturing facilities on that planet. So then they become bases, and everything starts from scratch. So you can send a bunch of people there, and they can actually make a base, on the other end, which is what they did. We have bases on we have stations, research stations, and bases at every gate, and have for years.
And how many gates are there?
Well, every habitable planet in our galaxy there's supposed to be about 3,000 gates. I don't know for sure, but I do know that there are a lot of habitable planets, and there's at least 3,000 in our galaxy. I think there's much more.
Yeah, there would be much more, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Lessin, you back with us?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I was struck by what you were saying, Richard, about ultimately time is involved in our linguistic concept of causality, which is just merely a set of hypothetical constructs that we use to organize data. And so I'm totally with that. And it's very interesting in the two-slit experiments, not only when you change a wave to a particle afterwards, you also change the space in front of the slits so that you change. And so it's really useful, I think, that you think you can simultaneously exist in what we're calling past, future, and simultaneous or parallel existences. And all you really need to do is just be attentive, really attentive to the here and now, and that's where it all intersects right in you right now.
Well, that's your get out of jail card. That's where you start the process, being in the moment. The future hasn't happened. The past is not necessarily set. I mean, you have alternate universe. That's the new theory of string theory now has moved to knot theory and the multiverse. And so the multiverse is all of it and more. I know that it is impossible for even someone like myself to conceptualize what it really is about. I'm lucky to get a glimpse. That's why there's 4 mammals on this earth that are more evolved technically than man. Nobody talks about that. Man is not that great a deal. And think we have technologies. Of course, those technologies exist probably with other universes and or previous technologies. I've watched Buddhists in Tibet, these big long horns. I've watched them compress the air to such an extent that a rock, a giant boulder, begins to float in the air compression. And you can push it with a finger. Now, we've been here before. I know, and it's a way we choose to, and memes. That's what distinguishes us from the dolphin and the orca, which, by the way, the orca has a cerebral cortex that's twice the size of man. And that mammal is firing 60% of it. That man's only lucky to get 10. A smaller cortex. I'm telling you, there's things going on around here, and we don't have a clue yet. And I can sense it, and it's called the awakening right now. And they're all starting to get it. And I'm a lead scout. That's all I am. I'm not original. And I know that. I don't know. But the adventure of the journey is exciting. Simon says you go halfway to the door and you focus on the door and you miss the big picture, which was about the journey, because you can't ever get there from here. Halfway to the door, you never can do that by definition. And so time and space aren't real. They're constructs that we use. Yes. And we have now new concepts. And that means all of a sudden these doors are open. And let me tell you, that's very exciting, because anything you can conceive of as God is what you, as a so-called spiritual, is capable of achieving with your own consciousness. And newsflash, that's only halfway to God.
Wow.
I didn't mean to sign you. Sorry about that. I mean, everything was silent. Well, I don't know. I'm enlightened. I'm as bright as it gets, and that's why the military used me. And guess what? It doesn't work that way. It isn't about brightness. Our brightest children are so smart, we have no clue. What we do is ruin them. You couldn't get to me that.
We want to make them normal. So
perinormal. That's what I'm going to call myself. I'm going to be perinormal. There you go. I had a friend that was pericomitatus. He was cool. I know that it doesn't work that way. And, oh, by the way, the answer is 42. I think that...
I thought it was number 9. Number 9.
Get a grip. Hitchhiking out of this galaxy. I can't... Oh, listen. There's more going on here. And, okay, let me give you an example. One of the things I studied was called cosmobiology. It came out of... back in the Russian days, Klugen is, little magnet moving things with their hands. The Czechs were doing some serious advanced work. And they discovered, Diana, for example, lunar sex cycle is a female. That when a woman's born, it sets up your ovulation cycle, the phase of the moon. If you move around the planet, that ovulation cycle changes. Oh, that's interesting. What about other planets? Astrology. Jupiter, Mars. Well, the one I did for the Department of Interior, was called lunar cycles that deal with earthquakes. And it was the planet Uranus, Earth, and the Sun. When it's in a geometric alignment, it's a 99.9975% sigma error coefficient of a major earthquake on the Earth. This is back in the 70s, Department of Mental Health. And there's no known laws on how Uranus can affect the Earth from that distance. But Jupiter, I've noticed everybody is lunatics. And when the storms on Jupiter stop for a minute, things changed on Earth. There is somehow a relationship. And the reason I mention that is because consciousness, as we understand it, is not real. And what we are imagining then becomes, that's why to have a replicator, now we have 3D printer. That's to see it in your mind's eye. That's where the magic occurs. Once it's there, the way you punctuate it, psyche into the matter, that's what your belief systems are about. I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't.
What's the difference between the replicator and this 3D printer? Is it like Star Trek, the replicator, you just go over and you ask for...
I'm printing right now, I'm printing right now a 30-foot geodesic dome in porous concrete in 24 hours. Mars. That's
so
what I'm working on.
You're printing one.
What's that?
You're working on printing it. You said you're printing it. Are you printing?
Oh yeah,
I
am printing. Okay, I am involved with a project called the Domes of Mars, and my part of it is writing the screenplay for Netflix so that once the public says it, it happens. Hollywood, if she could. And so the idea, what I've got right now, up in Bainbridge Island, is a 3D printer, and a Love Family, good God, and Asha Deliverance, Pacific Domes down in Ashland. And what we're doing is printing with a new form of concrete. It's got magnesium in it. It's super light, and it's made out of hemp. You can make this stuff out of hemp and manure, just like in the Mars. And so you can print this thing. And now, once I have that, the screenplay plays. We're printing a 30-foot dome. It'll take 24 hours. It'll be a geodesic dome with this porous concrete. You put that under the ground with solar panels. Mars is next. Boom.
Interesting. Yeah. So let's talk about our planetary solutions in this last half hour. I just wanted to check in with Mad Painter. Do you have any feedback, comments, or questions you want to ask? Are you there, Mad?
I'm here. I find I find this stuff with Mars rather interesting myself, because we are headed there, regardless of what anybody really wants. We are headed there.
We've been there before too. I can tell you that you hypnotize any person in the world, cross cultural, Chinese, Mexican, whatever, and you take them down to the Wernicke correction near the reticular activating center, and everyone comes up with memories of working on Mars. How does that work? A typo, obviously, but I don't know. I've seen this. I understand this. And know that it doesn't work like that. We're not ready. Have a theory of everything that's presumptuous. It's not going to happen. That doesn't work like that. So our imagination is what's real. And once you can see something in your mind's eye, that's what makes it real. Because that's what your upper brain is. You know, it's made there to make all your beliefs true. Now, to be able to change a belief like you would a pair of clothing, I'm using brain drivers. Boom.
So we were on Mars before, and we have that in our core memory, whether we were there.
Well, I don't know if it's genetic. Yeah, I see.
It's genetic, I don't know or what is that? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's genetic. It's consistent and reproducible. Go on Wernicke correction, comma, a Mars project. Have a walkabout. Yeah, I'll take you on. Would you like to go for a little ride? I love Carl Sagan. He was so great.
Oh, Carl Sagan.
Hey, Jodie Foster, her eyes lit up. She dropped into a face-centered cubic hexagonal closed pack structure in the movie, Diamond Body. Boom. And so we have understanding of this stuff and not a clue. That's the truth. You know, as I
understanding and not a clue.
Well, that's Walter Cronkite, Altered Walter. You know, that's the way it is.
So let's look at that. So we're here in a is the Earth experiencing global warming changes? You know, what's true, what's fake news, what's going on here? What are our solutions? How do we get off this polluting fossil fuels? How do we get to using hemp? They won't allow us. Anybody have any solutions? Let's look at solutions. We'll go to Dan, then back to Richard. Dan, what are some of the planetary solutions? Let's identify the problem and then the solution.
Well, they want to turn everything over to free energy generator. They want to use free energy generators to get off of fossil fuel combustion. Generators, engines, and...
Who's they? Who's they that wants to do this?
I think the secret space program, but what they say and what they do is two different things. That's what they're saying. Let's see if they do it. We're finding this out. This is what I'm working on, so I'm finding it out. They're saying they're going to do it. Let's see if they're going to follow through.
Right. And you're working on patents to reinvent.
Well, I have patents of free energy generators, motors, and engines. And now I'm trying to get companies to build them. We're in negotiations with several companies on building them, making them, distributing them throughout the planet.
So there's a new effort to get back to the moon. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what do you know about?
Well, the Chinese are scheduled to go on the dark side of the moon in 2 years, and to Mars in 3. And they have these scheduled. I sent you the website, the Chinese website that shows you their schedule of flights and what their objectives are. And those are the same objectives that were just same exact objectives that were just laid out by Vice President Pence out in Huntsville, Alabama. Only he said they're going to do it in 5, which is 3 years past when the Chinese are going to do it. So I don't get that whole thing. That doesn't make any sense.
Are they not reading the same website you are?
I'm sorry, what?
Are they not getting the same information that you're getting on the public?
I don't think Pence has been informed. I don't think he's being informed. I don't think he's paying attention or he's being informed. The Chinese have already got these shots already scheduled, in 3 years earlier than his plan. He doesn't even have a grant. He hasn't even handed out grants yet. There's nothing scheduled. There's no United States.
Speculate.
There's no NASA shot going to the moon scheduled.
So it's just a political ploy to get people.
No, I don't know. We're hoping that they're saying they're going to give grants to all the different projects that I'm working on and other people like me are working on. We're going to find that out. We don't know. This is what they're saying. They're saying they're going to give us the grants. We won't know until we apply and they say yay or nay. And that takes about 6 months to a year to find that out. Everybody's going to apply for the grants.
The Chinese are just a year out from their goals, and we're just still playing with getting grants going. So that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And
really opening up the grant program is for other projects, not those projects. They don't want to tell the public what those other projects are. But I know what they are because I'm working on them.
Okay. So, Richard, your dome project, are you working with the government with that, or you're?
Well, yeah, like Hollywood right now has. What he's describing is a current series called Time Traveler, and that's Kurzweil and the Singularity, where there's a pop in the action. We have another life form that runs the show, or something like that, trying to control things. And I have to tell you something. One of the things I first learned about chaos is that and order is that control is a fantasy. And believe me when I tell you that, because you can't get there from here. It doesn't work like that. In my universe, the way I understand it, you're along for the ride. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy one. I don't know what's going to happen or when, but I do know that when, how did Merlin put it? Anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory. If it's possible, you count on it. Once Hollywood puts a series out like Travelers, run by AI, no. That makes it, that's now, once everybody starts to get that, that's what makes it real. Are they real? How could they not be?
So how is it that Hollywood has such a great influence? They fictionalize it, they create a series, and then it becomes real. It seems like the time between the fictional process and reality has shortened. What's going on there? Any ideas?
There's Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. You have choices. And for me, Matt Stein was my partner, and I was Navy SEAL, and he's dead now. Matt died Christmas Eve. I can't believe it. He's a last man standing.
How dare he?
I know. It's just, we figured he was going to walk and dance on all our graves. He's climbing a mountain. He popped out. Eric aneurysm. Matt and I did and do sustainable lifeboats. Lifeboats with oars. That's what I do. I had mentioned Mike Hagan. Mike Hagan had interviewed me, 3-hour interview with Dennis Kucinich. When Kucinich hired me to do a 4-state region, setting up bunkers and communes, places for safety when everything goes to hell. And I'm doing that now. All arms up in Canada with Unity Church of all things. They're forming a network across Canada. Sustainable lifeboats. Underground, you're going to need about 10 days on the hard ultraviolet. Who knows what else? And you may have to grow things. There won't be any light for a couple of years. And it's going to get crispy. Whereas already
when they go to Mars, you're designing these living facilities for people going to Mars.
Well, Mars. Yeah, Mars is another lifeboat. It's got water. The moon didn't even have cheese. You know what I mean? That's why we're so interested in Mars life. And we need, it has actually for the small planet. My study showed Mars has more water than Earth does. It's a smaller planet. Now, how much water does that make? And when I say that, it's everywhere on Mars. Oh, yeah. We're going to go that as a backup plan B. Yes, indeedy. But I think we've already been there. And I often wonder what the asteroid belt was. Some had a war and they blew themselves up, and now we're trying to get it right. I don't know. And it's all conjecture. We'll never really know. Hey, how do you know about animal birds? Foo Fighters, where'd they come from? And that was 1948. Antarctica, never. I mean, it's on the history books. And where's that Viking base that I saw? In history.
Yes, you saw the Viking base.
Yes, I did. It was in ruins.
Did you see any of the Nazis?
I saw 19 subslips that had been decimated, possibly with a nuclear weapon.
And is that from the
that was done in 68. I think that was Kennedy that went in and bombed it. There was briefly in 65 from space you could see a hole in Mars. The bomb went off. I don't know.
And who do you think did that? You said Kennedy?
Yeah, Kennedy. Kennedy dropped the bomb.
In 66?
In 1960. It was 1960. I don't know what year. I think it was in 65 before he shot. I think when I was there.
He was shot in 60. What's that? You're talking about Kennedy. Kennedy was shot in 63. So.
Okay, then it was earlier, because I think it was Kennedy that went in and dropped a bomb on that Nazi base. That's your 1,000-year or 10,000-year war. Who knows? Wir wollen Deutsche bleiben. I don't know. What I do know is the whole thing was obliterated. I saw 19 subslips. I have friends in Brazil. Abe Aberrala, Mad Abe Aberrala is Brazilian Secret Service. A buddy of mine's #1 assassin. Yeah, he used to go into Thule Island, and that's the Thule Society. That's where it came from, and go into Antarctica. And they had bases where nobody else knew about them. And, there's evidence that there might have been something on the moon. I don't know. What I do know is still in war.
Sasha, do you have any comments, questions?
No,
I don't mean to make you guys feel the same.
This is just wonderful. I just, I've got all these alternative stories about Antarctica from all different sources, and it seems like there was a whole series of battles. First, the Brits tried to sent an expedition to try to clog the entrance to the cave, and they were defeated and killed off. And that was way before the Battle of the Weddell Sea, and the whole thing with Byrd and stuff. There's so much going on that we're not informed about, and our world is being run by the Nazis, who are brought over to run things, and their children and grandchildren are now doing that. But, they're people too, and we can reach them, and we can go beyond this opposition and realize that our oppressors could actually be turned into our friends if we can just get in touch with the parts of ourselves that resonate with them and find the common ground. That's what I think.
That's the key word. Common ground. There's something creepy. What's happening? It looks like someone is trying to terraform Earth right in front of my eyes. And
let's talk about
don't have
that.
free will.
So is this?
Well, chemtrails, whatever.
So who's trying to terraform it? And maybe Dan has some insights on this too, because we have all these chemtrails. I think my theory is if we were to take a time machine, go back to the 60s, we probably couldn't breathe the air that we were breathing when we were kids and young people. I think it's been changed that much, but somehow some of us are adapting and others are dying of cancers and everything. And so I don't know, it might be our individual genetics that are adapting, but there's a point where it seems like somebody else wants this prime real estate. And so when you joked earlier and said that they're coming to collect the taxes, or, I think there is somebody coming to collect. And so let's talk about that a little bit. We only have about 10, 15 minutes. So, I don't know, anybody, the ball's out. Who wants to grab the ball and say something about that? You were saying, who's terraforming? What's happening? Tell us about terraforming, and then we'll pass the ball around, talking stick about it.
Well, I don't think they're terraforming. Like I told you before, all part of that global warming strategy in order to bring the planet to where it can't sustain people, and then the people, the aliens come and say, oh, well, you come to our planet, and then everybody goes, oh, great, girl, it's cool, we can go away to your planet. And then it was basically they were all going to be, it was the crop, the harvest. But that can't happen anymore because we got surrounded by the spirit beings' outer barrier. It can't happen anymore. We can't be pulled off. But they still haven't changed. They still haven't changed that whole global warming routine. I don't know why. Somehow they think they're going to get through the barrier. That's what they told me. SSP personnel told me they believe that they're going to figure out how to get through the barrier. And so they're going to continue on with this global warming program. Well, we'll see. Like I said, there's a lot of objection to it. The Chinese and the Russians now are clued into the secret space program. They know it's real. They know the technology is real, and they're very pissed because that technology was supposed to be given to them according to agreements that we made in World War II with the Chinese and the Russians. And they want that technology. They're demanding it. So, there is no terraforming.
Well, so there's global warming, though, and there's an agenda to...
Yes, and there's an agenda, and they're still on the agenda with bringing the planet to the brink of destruction so that it cannot sustain human life. That's the agenda. They're still on board with that. We won't know if we've changed them from that program until they get these free energy generators out throughout humanity. But I'm going to know because I'm the one that's trying to get it done. And I'm the one that invented them. And I'm the one trying to get them manufactured. So I'm going to know whether they're going to change their tune or not.
So it's like the
and the Chinese and they're not on board with this global warming, destroy the planet, bring it to they're not on board with that. But they can't change either because they got locked into the whole fossil fuel, development. And from its inception, it was designed for global warming. From the very beginning, we never needed to combust fossil fuels. Alcohol was actually a better burner for piston engines. And they just decided to go ahead and use oil because they wanted to bring the planet to the brink of destruction. We can reverse it, but we'll see. We'll find out. I'll let you know.
Wow.
It's deforming instead of terraforming. It's terra deforming.
They're intentionally making the surface uninhabitable, so you have to leave. And so when the opportunity is presented before you, you take it. Hey, you know what? You can come to my planet. It's a really cool planet. Let me show you pictures. It's a really nice planet. We're very advanced there, and you're going to have to become a servant.
But you'll still be alive.
Yeah, correct. You understand? Now the thing is, you've already been acclimated. See, you don't understand. All of you have been acclimated towards slave to be sold off as slaves because you were raised in a slave system on purpose. That was not an accident or natural development. You were intentionally enslaved economically to prepare you for your slave life on these other planets.
How lovely. Well, I was watching a TED Talk, and there's a man that was showing the effects of reclaiming the deserts, of planting trees, and he said that they reduced the carbon levels of when you plant trees and grasses. It actually can shift the carbon levels of the earth quite rapidly. So they're starting this whole movement to plant trees, restore the deserts, and they showed the view from space and how the browning of the earth has accelerated. It's frightening how fast it's accelerated. So, what do you guys think of that? Your turn, Richard. Richard, you say something now. We'll change. Go ahead, Richard.
Please repeat. What would you like? I don't understand.
I'm looking for planetary solutions for this devastation, for this potential another level of enslavement of humanity, the destruction of our environment so it's unlivable, and some technological solutions or political solutions or economics. What are some of the planetary solutions to bring us back from the edge of destruction, the eve of destruction, the harvest?
That's it's going to be different for everyone, and habitat is critical. And that means for example, I have a missile silo down in Arapahoe with 12 families running it with vertical agriculture going straight down the missile silo. And then up in Sandpoint, Idaho, I have a sustainable life out on a whole Quaker retreat on the Pack River. It's just simple living. Mennonite, Mormon, whatever, they all have different ways they want to do it because they're different things. And that's why when you watch the movie Prepper, what a joke. Actually, you can't prepare for these kinds of things. What you do is you adapt. That's a real good thing. The Chivy did one where the asteroid comes down and starts setting off life. And they ended up using Sulfan blue to kill the aliens. I love Hollywood. It's got imagination. I mean, it gives you the solution is to stay limber and discipline your mind. That's what all your saints in history have said. Train the mind.
Train the mind.
Well, you're You know what the Masonic secret is? Thought that occurs. A moment of climax happens. Sex magic. That's, yeah. And now you start thinking about your boyfriend or someone else. You can count on that happening. As a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. Right.
You have to be very disciplined. The distinction between love and sex, the distinction of the vulgar from the profane, and going into the sacred. Now, the sacred is a place where you're in the flow, and it's distinguished differently from intent, which actually happens at the end of the day. Wounding, and that's when the wound happens. You know, you broke up with your girlfriend, and now you're going to go out and da-da-da. An AI can profile that with the algorithms, know what you're going to do before you do. However, you can't predict what you're going to do if you're doing purpose, because you're invisible. You're doing what you're supposed to be. You're in harmony. And so you're not creating karma. It's a metaphor. And so you try to, the two are close to each other, but they're not exactly the same. And that's why we have coming back to get it right maybe 600,000 times. I'm kidding. That's a metaphor. There are saints. They're very rare, real saints. I met one, his name's Sharon Singh. And one of the definitions of a true master is they predict the moment of their death. It's one of the definitions of what distinguishes him from you.
And how do you know that?
Well, there are life forms like the Dalai Lama that know we had were in a previous life. But, yeah. So nice to see you again after so long a period. Kundun. That was Jason Rinpoche, who was the older brother of the Dalai Lama when we made that movie up in Seattle. And because I spoke Mandarin, I was able to translate for Jason when he did that movie in Seattle, and Little Buddha. And I have a sense of what is about to happen. And how did Hal put it? It's wonderful. Yeah, he's going to take over. Arthur C. Clarke, these are visionaries that Heinlein, Asimov, H.G. Wells, that wrote about these concepts, and then they happened. H.G. Wells, 20,000 Leagues, submarines. Get a grip. Visionaries. And that is where it came from. Now, you think they're aliens? Well, yeah. What's the Nephilim? When I was teaching up at Shiprock, Navajo Community College, they have the legends and pictures of giant cannibals. And, I don't even know what an Anunnaki is, a standard brain cave. Whatever that means. I can tell you that there's this guy, I don't know what I mean. I did a BBC with it on the Anunnaki. On the Nephilim. They discovered giant skull in Pennsylvania. Went to the Smithsonian in 1810. Where is that skull? Well, that one was easy to get. The two brothers that started the Smithsonian were the son of that Methodist minister that lost his flock to John Smith, a Mormon, based on a religion, on a close encounter. They probably dumped that skull in the ocean to vet their father. I don't know. I know that we're finding evidence down on the... Yeah, I wasn't there. I don't know. And, I wasn't... I saw the Nazi base when I was in Antarctica. That's an absolute... there I am, the man saying that. And I have Viking base, 14th century. Where's that in the history book? Well, nobody talks about it back then, huh?
I hate to cut this short, but we're running out of time. I want to give everyone Richard, what's your website? How do people reach you?
What's that? I'm sorry?
We're running out of time. How do people reach you? What's your website? How do they?
That's my name.
Your books?
Yeah, it's RichardAlanMiller.com. ALAN. I have Facebook, several things there on Facebook also. Go to DocRam.com. There it is. That's me. And I'm still working for the military. Hoorah.
You're still working for the military. That's what I thought.
I'm a very naughty boy. But I know I don't know. And there is a lot of weird things going on. I'm excited.
That's exciting. Okay, and Dan Cooper, final word for you before we run out of the clock.
Okay. Well, I think there's exciting things going on. You know, I never thought that anybody would be even talking, meaning large corporations would even be discussing the idea of making free energy generators. I thought they was going to be suppressed, and now I'm in negotiations with big companies. So I don't know what's going to happen. It could be just another snow job where, you know, they lead you on, make you think you're making progress when you're not. So, but we're going to find out. That's why I got involved at this level, is I want to know for myself. And the only way to find out is I had to invent these technologies myself in order to be able to push the issue. You can't push the issue if you're not an inventor. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
there's
nothing to push. You can't push the manufacture of a free energy generator if you haven't got one.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you very much. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you,
Good night.
All blessings. Aloha.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free. But there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country was founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Who? Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream.
War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This